Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the Immigrant Podcast. Today we have the pleasure of having Diogène. He is a business consultant, an immigrant from Africa that resides in Canada. He's going to tell us more about his business ventures and obviously about his very successful podcast. Dio, welcome to the Immigrant Podcast.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me, Martin. It's really a pleasure to be on the Immigrant Podcast.
Excellent. So you live in Canada now, right?
Yes, in Montreal.
Where were you born and how did you end up in Canada?
Yeah. So I'm born in Belgium. I'm born in Brussels. And the funny thing, compared to countries in North America, it's not because you're born somewhere that you acquire the nationality. You in Belgium at the time, and I think it is still the case right now, you acquire the status of your parents. So when I was born, my parents were still refugees in Belgium, even though they had spent at the moment in which I was born, they had spent already. Yeah, my father had already spent even more than a decade there, but still, they were still a refugee. So when I was born, I was a refugee from Burundi. So Burundi is a small country located in the east, in East Africa, close to Rwanda, close to Kenya, close to Congo.
Mm-hmm.
And I became a Belgian citizen when I was a teenager. And as you said, I ended up in Canada about 11 years ago. So in 2013, that was more a move motivated by trying to reset a little bit and try to not stay in the kind of monotone life that I had at that moment in Belgium, and see a bit what's the entrepreneurial drive and dynamic that there is in North America.
Very interesting. So before we get to North America and we can talk about what you do in North America, what was life like for you growing in Belgium as a kid when you were still a national of Burundi, and then eventually after becoming a Belgian citizen?
Yeah, so it's when you are young, sometimes you don't notice everything. So you're still a kid, you're still playing. You know that there are differences, but you know that there are differences, but you don't try to explain that to yourself. You just know that there are differences, and you just enjoy. So my childhood was mostly playing with people from kind of all creeds, all backgrounds. But when there were kids also from let's say sub-Saharan Africa, or let's just say black kids in general. Yeah. So at school we will start to easily create groups, or we try to easily identify with those stars in the United States, like Michael Jackson, Will Smith. So we try to repeat what they are doing. But the fact, being an immigrant when I was a kid, I think it was more noticed by others than myself. The other part that is can be kind of strange is that I was born in Belgium. I was a refugee, so I could not go to. So I was allowed to go anywhere in the world besides Burundi, because that's the country I fled from. Even though me physically I have not fled from there. So that's also a kind of strange relationship that I had with the country at the start. So I hope I have answered your question.
Oh yeah, you have, definitely. I'm just curious, how do the American culture and specifically how did the American hip hop culture affect your teenage way of life in Belgium?
I think it's mostly because at that time most people in Belgium, at least I will say French-speaking Belgium, because there are different languages spoken there, they don't really understand the words of of the American singers or rappers. So we would mimic what they say without really understanding what they are actually saying. But what would be mimicked more is, I think, the way they are dressed, maybe the way they because of course there were a lot of immigrants that were also trying to do some hip hop. So the way they would dance, the way they would create music, I mean compose the music, and the way they will rap, even though it's maybe not the same. But that's the influence was not that deep. The influence was very superficial, I want to say, because you will try to look like them, maybe you'll try to walk like them, but you don't really understand their reality.
Okay, so and that confusion, which I would consider to be somewhat of a cultural conflict, did that contribute to the person you are today? Did that influence you in any ways?
Oh yeah, 1000%. I'm more, and it's good that you go back more to childhood, because it defines me way more than my last 11 years in Canada. When I arrived in Canada, I was already grown adult. So yes, it defines me a lot. I think there is always that conflict. That conflict can be unhealthy or can be healthy. So it can be unhealthy if you always feel that you lack something. So if you always feel that you lack something to be fully part of the country in which you live, or you lack something to be fully part of the country where you come from. So
was that emptiness social, economic, or it was just an emptiness of I do not feel like I'm fitting in?
Yeah, so I wouldn't directly say emptiness, but you will start to ask yourself questions, and I think the socioeconomic point it's a start. And
so walk us through that. What was that like? The socioeconomic. Yeah. What was that like?
Yeah, so most of the immigrants coming from I met immigrants coming from countries such as mine, but also other countries like Congo, Chile, even Laos, Vietnam, where its parents have fled suffering, have fled horrors, have fled wars. So you find yourself in a neighborhood that is at the lowest part of the socioeconomic ladder, and you find yourself, because there was that social kind of mixity in Belgium, you find yourself also going to school with people with other socioeconomic classes. So you start to see some differences just in the brands that that the kids can have in terms of their drink or their food. You're like, okay, wow, they eat that every day. What we think is luxury, what you think is luxury food, or they have that type of clothes. Oh wow, they have that. For us, it would be absolutely exceptional. Or you go to school, you talk about your holidays, and you in your holidays you just stayed where you are for the whole 2 months of the summer. Some others they leave the country for 2-3 times a year, and they go to sunny places and then they come back. So yeah, you see those differences in terms of socioeconomic status. You notice it, and you think, maybe you tell yourself, okay, later I will be able to get that. And that's where there are some dangerous parts. That's where you might meet dangerous people. So what I mean by dangerous people is some people will try to convince you that you can get what those people have quickly, whether it's legal or illegal. And usually they try to do that through stealing or through doing some shady business, Mm-hmm. Or you say, no, I will be patient, I will wait, I will do it through education, and I will get there. So I took that second path. Now the other aspect where there is that issue, as you mentioned, is on direct confrontation. So what I mean by direct confrontation is being told verbally that you're a dirty black person, or being told that okay, in your country there is absolutely nothing. But at the same time, I don't have the knowledge to provide educated answers, because they base themselves on what they have been shown on TV and what they have been told at school in the public education system. Mm-hmm. Because in the education system, we are told, so Belgium had colonized Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, and Burundi. So, but their main colony was really the Democratic Republic of Congo. And so what we will study at school and it was a short chapter, but still it was studied, was the colonization in Congo. And despite the fact that over there are easily more than 9 million dead, we are still told that, yeah, but it was to help them, it was to civilize them, it was to help them. They had no language, no knowledge of religion, they were not totally human when we arrived. So we have you should be thankful actually that we have massacred you, and we have taken all the things that all the resources that belong to you. So there is also that part where, yes, socioeconomic, then also on the social level, you can be insulted in the street. I was playing football in club, and sometimes in club football, I would hear people. I know that they are, because I was one of the few black guys on the pitch, and I would hear them insulting me, or even an opponent will insult me. And at the time, I thought it was normal. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot you just said in there, and let's see if we can unpack it. You talk about what in America we call racism, what in Africa we call tribalism, and what in most of the world may be considered nepotism or racism, right? That's kind of what you're talking about when you say there's abuse based on color, problem. And for your case, actually, you did not have an accent, because I'm assuming you grew with a Belgian accent, right? And then you also talk about the ability to deal with that, because you got to a place where you got colors, and now to you the abuse was no longer abuse. Maybe it motivated you to want to do things differently, or it motivated you to want to do better. So was your move from Belgium escaping to Canada because they had a promise of treating you better as a man of color, or was you leaving Belgium to go to Canada more economic driven? And if so, was it because of business opportunities that you would have found in Canada more than you did in Belgium? And what's your relationship thus far with you having migrated from Belgium to Canada?
Yeah, so my move was more economic driven, but I also had that feeling that maybe as an immigrant I may have more opportunities. Like if I'm an employee, I may have more opportunities to move up a corporate ladder if I go in an English-speaking country or in North America. And also business opportunities, but I did not necessarily had in my mind one big business opportunity. I did not really have that, so I wanted to develop a more entrepreneurial mindset by going there actually. So yeah, that was more that.
Okay, so tell us how, as a kid growing up, you were able to deal with racism, nepotism, tribalism. How are you able to deal with that and still be able to participate competitively in sports, in school? And I'm asking this question because there's a lot of kids that are immigrants across the globe that are fighting the same, that are having to go through the same, and some of them are choosing to take the back road and not confront their situation. And so that affects you as a human being. But how did you, as a young man, manage to overcome that and still continue to pursue your dreams?
I think I was lucky in the neighborhood where I was born, because as I was mentioning a few countries before, these were like kind of my neighbors. So I had people from all origin, and including people that are from like Belgium with Belgian roots. And this is kind of a group of best friends that I have. So I think it has always provided me with some it enabled me to always have some distance, because I know some people from pretty much every, like let's say every, not ethnicity, but like every continent in the world. Besides Oceania, I know very deeply some people from all continents in the world directly as a kid. So directly it has given me the opinion to say, okay, I know this family, I can go there, I can have dinner there, I can play with their one or most of their kids there. So I know that there are some good people everywhere. Now it's more with the economic opportunity, where to go, and that's where there is that both the socio-economic point and also the background, the origin, the skin color point, where these are two things that I have to overcome. So the way I always think, and I think it's important for any immigrant to think is, okay, there is either you have immigrated, but in my case, it's my parents that had immigrated. To me, is my parents. They fled the war. They did a huge sacrifice. They changed completely their life to go in a country where they are not totally used to, where they are not used to the culture, etc., etc. They had to change the type of jobs that they were doing. So my duty is to do better. My duty is to try to go one step up in the socio-economic ladder, but also in the influence ladder. So I believe by having this mindset, all the things that come at you, the insults, the people that are talking behind your back in the office, the people that are telling you, yeah, I don't think you will make it, that's just fuel for motivation. But you already know that you have a duty to your parents, to your bloodline, to your country of origin, to be excellent and to do better. That's it.
So, have you had the opportunity to travel back to Burundi?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, what was that experience like? Having gone back to a native country that you were not born in, and could not speak their language, presumably.
Yeah, you're right. For the language, I'm still trying to follow a few courses, and it's completely my fault because my parents were talking to me in Kirundi, and I was responding in Kirundi when I was a kid. So I was pretty good when I was a kid. But then when I became a teenager, I think it's the idea of no, I need to speak French, and I started to answer in French. So still now I answer most of the time in French, but now I include more and more because I have now myself a kid, so I need to transmit that. So otherwise it's gone. So the experience of going back. So it was it was a bit emotional. Not in the sense that I cried, but I mean emotional inside. One thing that I felt is that okay, this is a place where a lot of people kind of look like me, but not just look like me because they are black. Really, they look like me. we look related, and kids or other people would say, even though they will hear sometimes my accent if I answer in Kirundi, they would say, hey, welcome here, welcome in Burundi. You're one of us. So. That's really that feeling that I have, that I was glad to have. But I was there also for family reasons, so I could also see a lot of because I have still a lot of family over there.
Okay, very good, very good. So you've settled in Canada. Obviously, it seems like you're doing pretty decently in business. But let's talk about your podcast. How are you doing on your podcast? And what's the name of your podcast?
Yeah, so the name of the podcast is Consulting Lifestyle. It was created 4 years ago. So we are, as we record here, we are in February 2024. It was January 2020 was the first the launch of the first episode. Now there are about 160 episodes and 4 seasons that have closed. I haven't restarted the next season this year yet. To be honest, I'm not too sure when I will restart, so I can't really give a date to the audience. But the goal of the podcast is related to the business. So basically, I started as a consultant in information technology in 2007, so like 17 years ago. And it was pretty randomly because I was studying business. I wanted to study international business, so I wanted to be like a sales guy that travel everywhere in the world. That's the image. That's just the image that I had. And then I applied for IBM in Belgium, and on that day I didn't know that it was that they. I thought that they wanted to hire salespeople, but they actually wanted to hire consultants. So I did on that day, that hiring day, I did some case study, and then I had an offer to start as what is called a SAP consultant. And SAP is the name of a software, but basically the principle is for companies to have a centralized management software. So for almost 10 years, I did that as an employee for four different employers. And I wanted to become independent, and I also wanted to discover different ways of doing consulting. So when I created the podcast, it was for two people. It was for me right now, and it was for me 10 years before I created the podcast. Because 10 years before I created the podcast, I had no idea what consulting is. And now that I know more, I want to share that, but I also want to discover other business models that can be done in B2B consulting. So it's a lot of interviews, and there are also some solo episodes there.
Very interesting. So you tell our audience where they can find you on social media, and of course your podcast handle.
Yeah, so actually I'm the best where I can be reached is on LinkedIn. So I will put that in the show notes. So on LinkedIn is really my name, Diogène Ntirandekura. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's pretty long. I should have maybe put it on the screen if there will be a video. But that's my personal LinkedIn. So Diogène Ntirandekura, Ntirandekura. Otherwise, I am also available directly on my website, so erphappy.com, and there you will find some podcast episodes. So there was a website for the podcast before, but now I have included it in the company's website. And then also other social media handles is on Instagram there is my name, Diogène Ntirandekura, Diogene Ntirandekura. I know I'm going very fast. I think these are the main. I think these are the main things. If you want to maybe send a direct email to me, you take my first name, Diogene, at ERP. HAPPY, so erphappy.com. That would be the best.
All right, wonderful, very good. So you have over 140 episodes recorded for your podcast. Let's talk about the most interesting interview you ever had and why.
Oh, I had many. I had been interesting interviews for different reasons. Why? So I could choose different. I could choose different and different reasons. So one very interesting interview was in one of the first interviews. It was with Lizzie Morris, and it opened up my mind as to how we could grow a management or business consulting firm without necessarily growing too much in headcount, because delivering consulting services can be pretty people intensive, and I think that opened my mind. She mostly has a business related to agile, providing agile trainings and consulting, and she does it with a partner, and she does it very well. What else do I have? I wish I could see maybe my list of episodes. There was also an episode that I had with someone from India that teaches you how to sell your best-selling book with with a strategy, with a structure, that he kind of put a proper methodology as to how you can launch, release, and get a best-selling book. I also had someone like Rachel Orumor. It is a woman that lives in Benin, and she also shared how she started as a consultant by right after school. She applied to develop an application, so a software application for a big bank there in Benin. And while she had almost no experience, she just promised that, and she delivered that pretty quickly. So in terms of boldness, that was something. So yeah, it's a lot. I just cherry picked three, but there are a lot I could have mentioned.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So how different for you is Canada from Belgium?
Huge. Huge. There are similarities and there are differences. So I think I'll say both. So there are similarities in the fact that Canada is close to a big country, like in terms of reputation. I mean, United States of America, and Belgium is close to also another big country, which is France. So it's kind of that smaller neighbor of a big country. So in Canada, we watch a lot of what happens in the US. In Belgium, we watch a lot. In French-speaking Belgium, we watch a lot of what happens in France. There are different languages, so this is another similarity. So in Canada, there are two official languages, English and French. In Belgium, there are three: French, German, and Dutch, or Flemish. In terms of differences, one big difference is the way people are consuming. It's really consumers, the consumption is completely different. I mean, in Belgium, people save a lot. They earn maybe sometimes a bit less in cash, but they save a lot for rainy days. In Canada, it's a lot about accumulating debts, and now with the inflation that we are seeing since about 2 years, people are pretty much suffering now in Canada. So another difference is also with regards to, if you want to go back on the immigrant topic, the openness to immigrants is a bit different, meaning that in Canada the immigrant is seen as someone that will help develop and build the country, because there are still so many things to do in Canada. I don't know if you're aware, but Canada is second largest country in the world after Russia, but there are about 40 million people living in the whole country. This is crazy. The country is empty. If we talk about the ratio, the density of population, I'm not saying that the country has to become 1 billion people, but the density of population is extremely low, whereas in Belgium the density population is extremely huge, actually, because it's a very small country that you do in 200 kilometers. So it's 200 kilometers long, the Belgian country, and there are a bit more than 11 million people. So which is almost 1/3 of the whole of Canada. So it's dense, actually. But in terms of openness to immigration is seen differently, at least until when I left Belgium, because there are already a lot of people. Mm-hmm. There are already a lot of people with skill, so it's seen as we don't have space. It's seen like that, like, oh, we don't really have space for more immigration in Belgium.
Very good. So you've had a very interesting path. What are some of the values that your parents helped you develop as a young man that today you're utilizing in experiencing and pursuing your career?
My father always reminded me that the good that you do to others will come back to you in a certain way. And I believe that it is true. he also exemplifies that, but I think that this is something true over time. I think my mother was also a lot about being rigorous, being disciplined and respectful. So these are, I think, the type of values. Both my parents wanted me to work hard, but maybe not too hard. Like, it's funny. It's like, yeah, you need to finish your studies, but then when they see you working, they're like, hey, calm down. So there is that kind of contradiction.
There was that dichotomy of trying to balance the two.
Yes. I want you to be to have a job, to be successful, but I want you to not suffer. Please relax. So yeah.
So in your experience, and I'm gonna keep taking you back to Belgium, but also still in Canada, and that's okay. But in your experience, what are the most common obstacles immigrants face in the professional world, and what strategies do you recommend for overcoming them, especially when you're consulting with immigrant business owners?
Yeah, there are. So when we talk about obstacles, there are some that are outside of our control and some that are under our control. And I think we have more under our control than we believe. So with regards to obstacles that are under our own control, is to try to learn working hard or working more than others. Okay, that's cool. We have heard it 500 times, but being smart in the way you work is trying to understand the power plays that happen in an organization. So you work in a certain organization, you are at I don't know, entry level, mid level, or whatever. You try to go up in the corporate ladder. So you have to understand that even though it might be written on paper that to get the promotion you need to do XYZ, and don't think that just because you have done XYZ you will get that promotion. Sometimes you need to make sure that you understand what the decision makers like to see. I'm not saying that you have to lie about what you have done, etc., etc. No, be truthful, but try to also put in evidence what you do in front of the decision makers. So very often as immigrants, we are modest, humble, which I like, but also we are a bit too shy to state what we want to the decision makers. So I think that is something that is important, and that it is under our control. Another thing that is under our control is networking. So try to network. It can be with within your organization, but also with people outside of your organization. So you will understand more about the place of your company in your industry, but also the place of yourself. You, with the type of role, the type of skills that you have, what is your place in the industry? And when I say network, don't network with other people to have a pity party. Have the network with positive people, meaning people that are looking upward, looking forward, that have a growth mindset. I think that is very important. There are social media for that. There are if you're in an urban area, usually there are business events where you can go. So really try to do that proactively. Another thing to do, I think, as an immigrant, whether you're a professional or an entrepreneur, look at I don't have specific websites, but look at government programs from an economic point of view. Look at what are the economic priorities of the government in the country where you are, because that is where a lot of money from the government will be provided, or a lot of tax breaks from the government will be provided to companies. And that's sometimes, not sometimes, often, that's in those areas that as an immigrant you can make a how can I say that, headway. You can make a headway, rather than an industry where there are already a lot of local people busy. Now, outside of our outside of our control, obstacle that are outside of control is people that there are some people, and maybe you will never know it, but people that just don't want to see you, that just don't want to see your progress, and you have you have no control over that. But don't, and it's better if they, in a certain way, it's better if they say that in front of you, so that you already know whether or not you're wasting your time, or you know, okay, what's my plan B. But those people that don't want to see you succeed, that don't want to share important information, that purposely want you to look maybe bad in a presentation because they haven't shared everything. I have experienced all of that.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Don't make it. Don't make them your king or your queen. These are just obstacles, and this obstacle you just move. That's it.
My dad always used to say, the enemy. How does he say it? The enemy outside of me is not my enemy, but the enemy within me is my enemy. Which I really find interesting. He has a way that he says to deliver that, and basically what he's saying is, the people who really know you and understand you are the people who will destroy you. And so he's always saying, hey Martin, I want you to be really careful about what type of friends you have, because your friends will make you or break you, right? And over time we've discovered that to be true, because they say you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. That said, how can immigrants leverage their unique perspectives and backgrounds to excel in fields like consulting and technology, knowing that the biggest issue they have is timidity? They do not want to speak out for themselves. Sometimes I've been in rooms where there's probably 7 to 9, 10 people, very educated Africans in that room, but they do not speak. While their perspective may be strong and really professional, they still hold back. And so how, as a consultant, are you helping these professionals be able to overcome that barrier?
So I do quite a lot of content on LinkedIn, and I do another thing. Maybe it was not even mentioned in my bio. So in Montreal, I have, and I think it's more for the African part, but African immigrants. But in Montreal, I have a kind of a little not-for-profit called Caribou, and with that, we run this with a friend, and with that, we share knowledge about not directly us, sometimes it's some other people. So we make online event or in-person event in which we share knowledge about great things that have happened in ancient kingdoms and ancient empires in Africa, or some things that have been done also outside of Africa. So like Afro-Brazilian people, or things that have happened, how Haiti became independent, stuff like that. So why do I come back to that? Because the timidity, the fact that you hold back, is a limiting belief that is educated within us. Why it is educated within us? Because it is saying, yeah, you as an African, or you as an immigrant, you have never done something great in the past. Your story starts with a defeat. Your story starts with death and horror. Whereas actually it's false. There are people, every civilization in every continent, they have a moment in which they had a fantastic era. Because if they had not, we would not be alive today. Our genetic would be gone. So it's very, very important to try to break that limiting belief. So we do that with that non-profit, but also on LinkedIn and with the podcast. I'm trying to share as much knowledge as possible, and I also actually meet one-on-one people that want to become independent consultants on how to start, what type of industry they can get into, etc.
Very interesting. How can, maybe that's not the right way to ask the question. What trends do you see opening in the next decade when it comes to consulting or technology that immigrants should be aware of and potentially leverage for their career growth in consideration of what AI and how AI is changing the work environment?
Yeah, so one thing that happened is there was the pandemic where a lot of work that was being done at the client office in B2B consulting could be done remotely. So this is a shift that I also have experienced, and what that has done is that a lot of companies all across the economy, companies that have offices, they started to notice that to execute the work, they don't need that big of an office. And now they are noticing that they don't need that big of teams. So that's why you see a lot of layoffs, a wave of layoffs. We see that a lot since the past year, whether it's Meta, and now we see that also with consulting companies. So there was an article I saw with BCG, Boston Consulting Group, reducing their it's BCG or McKinsey, I don't want to, but one of the two they have reduced drastically their headcount. So the shift that I see is that companies, your potential clients, they will want you to deliver the same with less people and in less time. The less people and less time is what AI is driving. So they will expect you to understand how to use AI to deliver your services more efficiently. So I do not believe in the replacement. I think the economy is something that is circular. So the economy moves somewhere, but I don't believe in the full replacement between human and AI. It's just that you get to do another type of task. That's it. So I think that the one thing that we need to look at indeed is definitely how AI will impact your business, your industry, or your type of role. And if you have already identified that maybe the company OpenAI or Google with Gemini, if you have identified that they have something that can assist your current role, just try to master that. I think that you will be ahead.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Please tell our listeners again where they can find you on social media.
Yes, so you can find me on LinkedIn. So my first name Diogène, Diogene. My last name Ntirandekura, so Ntirandekura. On Instagram, it is the same. Also, my first name and my last name. The name of my company is ERP Happy. So ERP HAPPY. So basically, it's really a user-centered approach in terms of digital transformation for other companies. And you can send me also an email. My first name Diogène, Diogene @erphappy.com. I'm gonna put that in the show notes as well.
Excellent. Dio, before we get off today's podcast, first, thank you so much for giving us the time. We really do appreciate you. But you're doing a lot of things at the same time. So talk to us how you manage your time for efficiency.
I think the best way to manage your time is to put priorities one priority per day. So when you have a company, and I must say my main focus is just my company. But what I try to do is I try to have one day specific where my priority is prospection, another day where my priority is more the admin, bookkeeping, etc. Another day in which it will be more about the content creation. So I think this way you can get more things done, because when you focus on one priority per day, you can do deep work. But when you just try to do a lot of things at the same time, you are doing superficial work all across many things. So then it's very difficult to get meaningful results.
Very interesting, very interesting. Dio, have you read the book, The Power of One?
The Power of One? No, I know it, but no. Was it Peter Thiel or?
Well, I can't remember the author, but The Power of One talks about the same theory where you focus on one thing and you dive deep into it and get it done. Very good, very good. Dio, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. We hope we can bring you back on our show. One of these fine days when we're in Canada, I'm sure we will link up and you can get to show us a little bit of what you do and what it looks like in Montreal.
Yes, it would be great. Thanks very much. It was a great experience, great questions. Really encourage people to listen to the Immigrant podcast. Thanks very much.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you and we're looking forward to talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.